Hello and welcome to Mississippi Insight. I'm Byron Brown. This morning we complete our pre-primary series of candidate interviews with the most powerful politician in the state.
We have a lot to be proud of in Mississippi, but I'm running for a second term because I also know that we have a lot more to do.
Governor Tate Reeves talks with 12 News in a one-on-one interview about the economy, healthcare, education, crime, and more. How would the Republican incumbent pursue these policy issues in a second term? Find out now on Mississippi Insight. Election watchers across the nation will keep a close eye on Mississippi this November when Governor Tate Reeves will likely face the presumptive Democratic nominee Brandon Presley. But he still has to win the Republican primary on August 8th. I sat down with a Rankin County Republican earlier this month to talk about the issues you care about the most, including the economy. Governor, this is your second run for the governor's office. Talk about your accomplishments in your first term of office that makes the case for you for a second term.
Well, I'm very proud of Mississippi. I'm a proud Mississippian. I'm proud of the fact that our economy is on fire. We've actually seen record capital investment in our state. In 2022, we saw over $6 billion in new capital investments, which is comparison to the 8 years before I became governor, where we only saw about $900 million a year. We have the lowest unemployment rate in the history of our state. We have more people working today than at any time in the history of our state. And so we have a lot to be proud of in Mississippi, but I'm running for a second term because I also know that we have a lot more to do. And I'm going to work very, very hard between now and Election Day to earn the vote of my fellow Mississippians. And then once we get into the second term, to continue to do what I said from the beginning, which is my goal as governor is to fix our challenges, not try to hide those challenges.
When you talk about the challenges, what's your biggest challenge that you think that needs to be fixed?
Well, there's a number of challenges. Obviously, we need to continue to work on workforce development and workforce training. That's one of the reasons our economy is on fire. Is we've really focused through the creation of Accelerate Mississippi on bringing better and higher paying jobs here, and more importantly, investing in our people and training them. We've got more work to do there, and we're going to continue to do that. And really, our theory and our strategy is to focus on those jobs that we know that are already here. As I said earlier, Byron, we find ourselves in a position where in the old days, we used to have a lot of people out looking for jobs, but today we have a lot of jobs out looking for people. And so we've got to take those individuals that are currently maybe in lower wage, lower skilled jobs, invest in those people through workforce development, workforce training, through our community colleges. You know, we have the best community college system in all of America. 15 community colleges situated in every region of our state. So we invest in our people through jobs training so that they can train up to a better job with better skills that pays better and higher wages.
As we continue talking about the economy, you've touted Mississippi's economic performance in recent years and credited your stewardship. Specifically, what policies of your administration are responsible for such things as state revenue surpluses, for instance, or personal income increases?
Well, per capita income is the single most important statistic that we can look at. And during my term as governor, per capita income is up almost 30%, almost $9,000 per Mississippian. And the reason for that is exactly what I've been talking about, which is the investments we've made in our people. It's because we're bringing better paying jobs to our state. It's because we're bringing higher paying jobs to our state through economic development. But it's also because our people have better skills.
You say we're up almost $9,000 per capita, but all states are seeing increases across the country. Are you satisfied with where we are on that number as far as 9,000?
Well, there's no doubt that part of that 9,000 is, a small part in Mississippi, is wage inflation caused by the Biden administration and some of the excessive spending that the administration in Washington has done. And so that, because of that, we see some wage inflation across various states throughout the United States. But I will tell you, I think our state's fared better than most. We were open quicker than most during COVID. Our economy recovered both in terms of number of jobs as well as in total number of salaries more quickly than virtually every other state across the nation. And that's something we ought to be proud of. I think really when you think about the policies that can be credited with seeing significant increases in per capita incomes, more than anything else, during COVID, when a lot of blue states shut down for long periods of time, we said to the country and to the world, Mississippi is open for business. And we not only tried to protect lives, but also protect livelihoods. And because of that, there are a lot of CEOs across the country that said, you know, I want people like those folks in Mississippi working for me. And that's one of the reasons we've seen such a huge amount of job growth over the last couple of years, is because of the way in which our people reacted. You know, politicians love to take credit for as many things as they possibly can, but at the end of the day, it's about our people. It's about our workforce. It's about the fact that they showed up and they showed out. They got up and they went to work every day in spite of the challenges, and that's something that I think all of us as Mississippians can be extremely proud of.
Close to 20%, or 1 in 5 Mississippians, lives below the federal poverty line, and that's been a persistent statistic and hasn't really improved much in the last 4 years. Why has that not happened?
Well, I will tell you, the way to change that, those who live underneath the poverty line, is through education, education, education. I'm very proud of our education record in our state. You know, we implemented conservative reforms back in 2012, 2013 that really were not that popular by some in the education establishment at the time, but they're making a huge difference. You look at the investments we made in the Literacy Promotion Act, for instance. There are many folks around this country that are pointing to Mississippi and calling these results the Mississippi Miracle. The reason they're calling it the Mississippi Miracle is because our education results are on the rise. 10 years ago, our 4th grade reading results in Mississippi were 49th in the nation. Last year, they were 21st. 10 years ago, our 4th grade math results were 50th in the nation. Last year, they were 23rd. In fact, if you look at high school graduation rates, Byron, 10 years ago, we were graduating about 72.5% of Mississippi kids. Today, we're graduating 88.9% of Mississippi kids. That's an increase of over 15 percentage points. But what it means in the real world is there are 3,000 kids per year that are graduating high school that 10 years ago would not have gotten that degree. What that means is that those 3,000 kids per year, or somewhere between 30 and 40,000 over a 10-year period, now have a high school diploma, which means they have a totally different set of opportunities than they ever would have had they dropped out of school.
And when it comes to that 4th grade reading, I know there have been some reports that say that while Mississippi has seen an improvement in 4th grade reading, also they're having about 10% of students are having to be held back because they can't meet those standards. Are you satisfied with where we are when we have to hold those students back?
Yeah, well, when we hold those students back, we hold them back for a specific reason, and that is because they're not reading at grade level at the end of the 3rd grade. But we don't just hold them back and pretend like they don't exist or pretend like they didn't struggle. We hold them back, and then we invest in those kids. If they have to repeat the 3rd grade, then we invest in those kids and help improve the quality of their learning. In fact, it's exactly the way the system was set up to work, and it's those kids that are benefiting probably more than any, because in the old days, 15, 20 years ago, those kids would have been promoted, socially promoted from the 3rd to 4th grade, and their reading levels would have never improved, and they would have continued to struggle when they were in the 4th and the 5th and the 6th grade.
We'll have more with Mississippi's top elected official after the break. And don't forget to check out our other candidate interviews. You can watch our June discussion with Democratic candidate Brandon Presley, as well as our interviews with the Republican candidates for Lieutenant Governor online. Find those under the Politics tab at our website, WJTV.com. We're back in a moment. Let's talk about health care. The Commonwealth Fund's latest scorecard on state health systems performance ranks Mississippi 51st out of 50 states and the District of Columbia. About 18% of our adults have no health insurance. Premature deaths per capita from treatable and preventable causes are some of the highest in the nation. And the CDC reports Mississippi has the highest rate of death from COVID per capita in the United States since the beginning of the pandemic. What will you do in a second term to change that statistic?
Well, there's no doubt that we've got more work to do when it comes to improving the quality of our health care. We've got more work to do when it comes to improving the access to health care in our state. And there's a number of ways in which to do that. Number one, I am a supporter of eliminating the certificate of need process in our state. Many people may not realize this, but you know, CONs are put in place to protect the institutions that currently exist, rather than recognizing that there is a marketplace out there. So the first thing we need to do to combat those potential entities that are shutting down is to allow more entities that can provide health care to open up. And to do that, we've got to eliminate some CON laws in our state, and it's something that I'm going to continue to fight for. The other thing we have to do, Byron, and something that I am absolutely committed to, and we've started the process, is we need more healthcare workers in Mississippi. If you think about the shortages that we have, and again, this is not unique to Mississippi, although it is true in our state, we need more doctors in our state. One of the ways in which we can get more doctors to more rural areas is by having more residency programs in places not only in Jackson, but outside of Jackson as well. My view is we need to invest in more residency programs at the University of Mississippi Medical Center, but we also need to invest in more residency programs in Corinth and Gulfport and Hattiesburg and all places in between, because what you find, particularly with doctors, is they don't necessarily practice near where they do their 4 years of medical school. They tend to practice very near where they do their residency program, so we need more residency programs in Mississippi. In addition to that, our need for more healthcare professionals is not limited just to docs. We need more nurses, we need more nurse practitioners, we need more practitioners of all kinds in the healthcare space. And so we got to continue to invest in more nursing programs around the state of Mississippi. When I was lieutenant governor, we worked with the University of Southern Mississippi, for example, to build the new nursing school there on their campus. We're working now with Mississippi State and some of their investments in the healthcare space in Meridian. Again, investing in healthcare and investing in hiring and training more healthcare workers throughout all parts of Mississippi will go a long way towards helping that. This is a challenge that we've been working on and fighting in Mississippi for many, many years. And there is no silver bullet. There is no one thing that we can snap our fingers and change everything overnight. But we've got to continue to invest in having more workers and improving the marketplace and ensuring that we have the quality healthcare professionals that we need. Because hopefully we can all agree that no matter how you feel about various solutions, our population is aging, and as the population ages, some of our challenges become even more difficult, and we need more healthcare workers to deal with it.
How do you compete? Healthcare shortage is a problem across the nation, so how do you compete against other states when a lot of people say the issue does come down to money, where people are going to other states where they want to get better pay?
Well, there's no doubt, and that's the reason we focus so much on per capita income. The best way to get more people insurance in our state, and the best way for providers to be reimbursed at a level that they can actually afford to provide these services, is to have more people working in jobs that pay more money, and hopefully they will have private insurance in those jobs. That's the reason training individuals to move from the jobs that are lower skilled and lower wage into jobs that are higher skill and higher wage can help lead to more individuals in our state having private insurance, and by the way, we also have to, as a people, improve our choices and make better decisions. And I think that's one of the things that we've got to do an even better job of educating people across the state on that as well.
Yeah, our hospitals network is in trouble, especially our rural hospitals. About a third of rural hospitals face the risk of financial collapse and closure. Here in Jackson, St. Dominic's cited poor finances for its closure of the behavioral health unit. Remaining beds of psychiatric patients in Jackson are all full. Can you reasonably assure voters that you'll bolster our healthcare system here in Mississippi, and what will you do?
Yeah, we've got to continue to work to improve, again, the quality of healthcare in our state, but also access to healthcare. We've got a large number of rural hospitals in Mississippi, some 74. We have more rural hospitals per capita than any other state in the entire nation. But we've also got to continue to work to, again, eliminate the CON laws that prohibit competition in the healthcare industry. We also have to continue to invest in having more individuals that are trained to treat patients. It doesn't have to be in a hospital setting. Healthcare has certainly changed over the last 20 years. And quite frankly, we've got to be willing to invest more in innovation in the healthcare space as well. In some areas that are doing better than others, for instance, telehealth is playing a major role. And that's something that we've got to continue to work to make sure that we see more and more of that.
Let's talk a little bit about crime. Mississippi leads the nation in homicide rates, according to the CDC. That has been the case since you first took office as governor. What do you want to do to curb homicides and other violent crimes in our communities?
Well, there's no question that COVID created some real challenges for individuals throughout America, and Mississippi is no exception to that. When it comes to crime, there seems to be a segment of the population that quite frankly is valuing life less and less, and it breaks my heart to see it. Some of the things that we're doing to deal with crime, particularly here in our capital city, obviously we have passed language within our laws, in addition to more resources to hire Capitol Police officers. We now have a Capitol Police force in the city of Jackson, wherein we have 150 officers on the streets now in this capital city, and that's something that we think is critically important. The crime's not limited to Jackson, but it's certainly exacerbated, it seems, here in the capital city. We also passed House Bill 1020, which obviously is currently in litigation, which limits my ability to talk about it for a long, long time. But let's just say that in the capital city through House Bill 1020, we voted to and decided to increase funding for Capitol Police, but we also wanted to increase funding for additional district attorneys, assistant district attorneys for our DA, Jody Owens. We also, because everyone is entitled to a speedy trial, we invested more money in our public defenders to ensure that every individual who commits a crime has a public defender, if that is the path that they choose.
The last campaign finance reports we've shown shows that you have about $9.6 million on hand. That's about 5 times more than your Democratic opponent. What do you credit for your success to raising that kind of money?
Well, I think the people of our state are excited that we have a conservative governor that gets things done, a conservative governor that's focused on improved educational attainment levels, a conservative governor that is focused on improved job prospects for our people. But also, I think the people of Mississippi are proud to have a conservative governor that stands up for what we believe in. You know, I'm willing to take the difficult stands, whether it's the greatest conservative accomplishment in my lifetime, overturning Roe v. Wade, and Mississippi led the charge, or if it's standing up and saying, you know, in Mississippi, we're going to let girls play girl sports, and we're going to let boys play boy sports. I think that's what the people of Mississippi want. And I don't think they want to elect a liberal, and I think that's the reason that folks in our state have been so generous in supporting our campaign.
Some of your biggest financial supporters on your watch, that includes 2 appointees to the State Gaming Commission, the Workers' Compensation Commission, the Community College Board, and the Restart Mississippi panel. Those appointees donated tens of thousands of dollars to your campaign. Do you think this leaves the right perception to voters?
Well, I'm going to appoint people to run our boards and commissions that share my conservative views, that share my conservative beliefs, and people that I can trust to go and actually govern in such a way that is fair for all of our people. And that's exactly what we're trying to do. I can tell you many of the people that I've appointed to boards and commissions didn't ask for the job. In fact, they asked to not have it because they don't need it, but they're doing it because they want Mississippi to be a better place. And, you know, I've got a lot of friends around the state that are willing to step up and work hard and work together to make Mississippi a better place. And that's something we should all support and should all be proud of.
Brandon Presley has called for sweeping ethics reforms and anti-corruption measures in our state. He sought to implicate you directly in the TANF fraud scandal, though you're not a known target to the state or federal prosecutors. Are Mississippi ethics laws where they should be at this point?
Well, what I would say to you, Byron, is that as you are well aware, I was sworn in to be the governor of the state of Mississippi, the 65th governor, on January the 20th of 2020. All of the allegations with respect to the TANF funds occurred somewhere between 2015 and 2018, long before I ever became governor. And it's really disappointing, although not surprising, that my opponent doesn't want to talk about the issues because he's scared to death for the voters of Mississippi to know the liberal stances that he takes on so many topics, and instead he'll go around and lie about me. He knows what he's saying isn't true. He knows that I was not involved, and in fact he knows that we inherited that particular scandal, and every day that I've been governor, we've worked to recover the funds for the people of Mississippi that were wrongly taken, and we'll continue to do so. We've got two parallel tracks going on now. You've got the criminal track as it relates to that particular scandal, which includes the Department of Justice and the U.S. Attorney's Office and the District Attorney's Office here in Hinds County. And then you have the civil track, wherein it is actually the state through the Department of Human Services, which is suing literally dozens and dozens of individuals and groups trying to recover the money that was wrongly spent that belongs to the Mississippi taxpayers. And we'll continue to get to the bottom of it wherever it leads. And we're going to continue to do that.
Governor, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Byron.
All right, appreciate you.
Thank you.
All righty. That's Governor Tate Reeves speaking with 12 News on July 12th. We'll hear more from Reeves as well as his Republican challengers, John Witcher and David Grady Hardigree, and Democrat Brandon Presley as they stump at the Neshoba County Fair. Watch our weekday coverage Wednesday and Thursday with recaps next Sunday on Mississippi Insight. We're back in a moment. Our thanks to Governor Tate Reeves for his time, and thank you for watching. We'll be back next week with coverage of the Neshoba County Fair and more of the political and current affairs coverage that you demand. I'm Byron Brown from all of us here at 12 News. Make it a great weekend.